but I want to talk about another moral issue, and I believe that is education. I have put education in the moral category because we believe, or I guess the state believes, our elected officials believe that if we throw more money at it, it will fix everything. Currently, education is 40% of our state budget, K through 12 education, which is it is a responsibility of the state. It's a paramount responsibility according to our Constitution, but it's for basic education. We're supposed to provide basic education. Well, of course, the debate is, what is basic education? But I want to take it to root issues, because as we're talking about these things, I want to tackle root issues, not just surface issues, but root issues. And so here's a couple of root issues in my opinion. First of all, it's the curriculum. We have curriculum in our schools that teach everything but the basics. Even when they teach the basics, it's sort of optional. Or we have, let's say, math that, we don't really want to have the right answers anymore, because as long as you try, that's okay. Because we don't want any child to feel bad, so therefore we're going to let them be mediocre. That's not okay. Because we want to challenge our children, do we not? In love. Amen. But we want to challenge them, better them, stretch them. But we also have school districts in this state that are teaching things they shouldn't be teaching, like a third gender. Why are they teaching our children about third gender? About global agendas? United Nations agendas? Why are they talking about these things in our public schools? I mean, if you understood it, and 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago or so, we did a town hall meeting here in Tacoma about a different thing that is coming into the curriculum, and that is the influence of Islam. And we demonstrated in that town hall meeting that there's a group called CARE, that is the Council of American Islamic Relations, that's a front group for the Muslim Brotherhood, has direct ties to Hamas, a terrorist-funded organization, and they want to come into our schools, and guess what? They want to teach our teachers and our principals about sensitivity training, and they want to bring the curriculum, the Islamic curriculum in. And so in this town hall, we brought the textbooks, and we showed the textbooks right here in the Pierce County School District, where you have a world history textbook that talks about Christianity about 3 or 4 pages, and Judaism 3 or 4 pages, and 7 chapters on Islam. And one of those chapters on Islam is about their 5 pillars. This is the pillars of Islam. How? Number 1 pillar, what is the number 1 pillar? How to become a Muslim. The Shahada prayer. A prayer that you say to become a Muslim. In the textbook. Can you imagine if the Lord's Prayer or the Sinner's Prayer or any, can you imagine if that was in our public school textbooks, what would happen? The ACLU would have a lawsuit by the end of the day before you put your head on the pillow. And this stuff is in there and nobody knows it. We're not paying attention, we're busy, we don't have people in there to be able to watch these things happening. And so the curriculum that we're teaching is not about basic education. It's anything but. And here's the other thing that we made the point at this town hall meeting. It's apparently religion in school is okay. It's just anything but the Judeo-Christian values. Everything else is okay. That's what the message they're sending. And so let's be consistent. If you're going to have religion, let's bring it all back, right? Let's bring those principles back. Let's bring those values back. But let's be consistent, whichever way we're going to go. Let me talk about another aspect that I believe on education is a root issue. And we see this right now happening in California. And that is the choice and the movement to take away parental rights. This is a root issue. Because ultimately, I, as a parent, want to teach my children. No offense against teachers, and my wife, by the way, was a public school teacher for 5.5 years. But I and my wife want to teach our children, and we want to be able to have that choice. And in California, they were bringing law after law where they want to be able to go after parental choice. And it's going to come here. And who is doing that? Predominantly, unfortunately, the unions. And so last year, when there was a bill in the Senate that would have given a $3,500 tax credit or voucher to parents to have choice. You can homeschool your kid, you can put him in private school, or you can put him in public school. Sounds okay, right? Parental choice. I guess it wasn't okay, because the teachers' union showed up and killed the bill. What are they afraid of?
Truth.
Because the competition. And the truth. But the competition, because they want to drive every child into public school. And so if they drive them into public school, who's going to be teaching them? What curriculum are they going to be teaching them? right? The state is teaching our children. And this is the solution that we have. And so these things are coming, folks, and we have to stand up. And my commitment as governor is to stand up and do everything in my power to not only support that law that would have given a voucher or a tax credit to parents, because here's the thing. If you homeschool your child in this state, it can cost you less than $3,000. How much money does that save the state? Over $8,000, because on average, $11,300 is the state average for education. And so, sounds like a good idea, right? I guess it wasn't, because again, we don't want competition. Even for private school, you can send your kid to private school for about, average $7,000 to $8,000 a year. Most private schools would save the state money. Again, we don't want that. I would support that law. I would support that voucher, and I will support parental choice. And by the way, I do not believe that throwing more money at the problem is the solution. 40% of our budget is going to education, and 8% on top of that is going to higher education. And so I encourage you to check out the other people that are running for governor and look at their education platforms. I have a letter here you can see. You can go on their website. This is Attorney General McKenna's. You can go and check Congressman Inslee's website. Their solution is let's spend more money. If you look at the Attorney General's solution, it's let's spend 50% on K through 12 and another 8% on top of that for higher ed. 66%. He believes that's the solution. And let's have the state pay for 0 to 3 preschool, and have the state do full kindergarten, and have the state do tutoring and after-school programs, and have longer days. The state, the state, the state, the state. We need to have local control. We need to take our communities and give them responsibilities over education. Money is not going to solve the problem. I think we all know that. We all know that. It's a broken system, and it's a moral issue. Because if we don't... And let me ask you this. Do the brokenness of our families not affect education? Any of you here a teacher in this room? You guys know. You know when you're dealing. My wife knew when she was dealing with kids on a day-to-day basis. The difference it made the home life. And the support system that those kids need. Money is not going to, we know that. So anyway, I think I've made the point. We have to have drastic change, and I don't support the budget going up. I think we can keep the budget where it is, or even lower that budget, which I know is not an easy thing to hear. But we have to make some cost-saving measures, and I'm going to talk about unions in a minute when I talk about education, or the economic stuff. Let me talk about economic crisis, because I think everybody in this room would agree that we are in economic crisis.
That's right.
Our nation's in trouble, our state's in trouble. We have unemployment that is over 9.2, 9.3% even in our state. Again, the budget came out, the revenue forecast came out for our state. We're $1.3 billion in the hole. And special session's coming up. The governor wants to have a 10% across the board cut unless the legislators go and start, cutting the budget again. We're in this mess over and over and over again. And the things that are going to be threatened, you'll see, just like they were threatened last year. Education we're going to cut. Law enforcement. Corrections. Public safety.